What's good, people? Welcome back to the channel. Now, I've been watching a lot of zombie films recently, and it got me thinking, you know what? Look, would I be able to survive in a zombie apocalypse? Like, everybody genuinely thinks that they could survive, but could you? And then it got me thinking, you know what? Rugby has some of the most ridiculous? I'm becoming Mike Tyson. Ridiculous athletes and like some of the most mean and monstrous people on planet Earth. Who would I want to be next to me to help me survive a zombie apocalypse, right? So in this video, I've broken down a couple of players that I feel, I've built me a team, a 23 essentially, that I feel I could rely on, and in terms of players, in terms of personalities, in terms of what they could offer. Um, I think it was a little pretty fun experiment. So let me know what your thoughts are in relation to my team, or my survivors list. And I want to hear who you would take in your journey in a zombie apocalypse. All right. So let's break it down. And I've broken this down into a couple different sections, right? So we have leaders and strategists, your enforcers, your tanks, your scouts and raiders, your utility players, your survivors, those crafty little bastards, and then your support and brains. So let's break it down. I'm not going to go into ridiculous detail. In my actual thought process, I went into some serious detail, but I feel I would be here forever. So let's break it down. First up, my leaders, the people that would kind of lead the group. First up, I have Siya Kolisi. The guy, he is just one of those motivational leaders. He seems to have, his moral compass just set on straight. Um, he's a captain. He's calm under pressure. He knows how to deal with things when things go wrong, right? And how to bring the best out of people when it's needed. So Siya Kolisi, he's one of my absolute leaders of the group. I then have Antoine Dupont. Antoine Dupont he's my mastermind. He's the guy he's gonna unravel everything. He's gonna be the guy that's gonna be making as he would in rugby. He's making the plays. He's making things happen. He's putting his little chess pieces into place to be able to work and make sure everything runs smoothly. And then Johnny Sexton. He's a bit of a wild card in relation to this. He's got a lot of experience. He's kind of that guy who I feel, if you're being an a-hole, he will happily tell you that, you're being an a-hole, where maybe DuPont might kind of worm his way around it and try to sound kind of polite. Johnny Sexton would just be in your face and just say it straight to you. But yeah, I feel you kind of need that. You have that general leader, that Siya Kolisi, that man that sees everything, that knows how to bond everything together. You have your DuPont, that guy who's very technical. He's tactical. He understands how things work. He's a chess master, right? He's a grandmaster. And then you have your Johnny Sexton, that explosive one that will happily tell you to F you in your face and just get people in line, right? So these would be my leaders, right? The guys to control it. We could then go into your enforcers and tanks. Now, I'm South African. There's only one player, one person that I'm going to want in my squad to begin with, and that's Eben Etzebeth. He's 6'8", absolute monster, weighing like 150 kilos. Why the hell wouldn't you want him? He's kind of like that colossus that would probably end up running through walls, grabbing zombies and just like throwing them around and lassoing them, and pretty much like ripping arms off and just slapping the other zombies with it. So he's just one of the biggest players I could potentially think of. Then we have Genge. Genge, I just feel he's that kind of bruiser. He just looks like he eats stress for breakfast. And then he's just never gives up. He's that kind of guy that'll be surrounded by like 900 and still come out just like absolute balling. Number 3, I give it to Ollie Chessum. Just a big power. That's how a lot of these people are, my forwards and locks. He's loyal. He's an absolute giant. Again, never gives up. These are the, especially when you want your enforcer, you don't want a guy who's going to run at the first sign of, any conflict. He's going to be that guy that's, he's going to be up against like 600 zombies and still going to come out on top. So, Ollie Chesham, some of you might not necessarily agree with him. I love this guy, Daniela Tupou. They call him the Tongan Thor, and he's my demolition expert. He's a guy that's just gonna destroy everything in his path. You know, you need to clear a path. He's just gonna run straight through everybody. You're just gonna see like little things flying left, right, and center. Kind of like one of these cartoons, where they kind of like just pan out and all you see is his bodies go bing, bing, bing. Um, yeah, he's kind of one of those guys that he would get into a bad position. He would just rip a telephone pole out of the ground and then just use it as a baseball bat because that's what people do, especially people of his size. And then my Franco Mostert. He just seems like that kind of insomniac guy who just, he never sleeps. He's just always watching. He's always there. He's keeping a good look on everything. And if he has to throw hands, he's more than happy to do so. Um, so yeah, those would be kind of my enforcers in terms of my speed, my recon unit. I'm giving Ardie Savea. He's just that relentless runner, boundless energy, and you know he would happily. He's like one of these players that he would do 10 missions, go up, back, left, right, center, and then he'd still be smiling and hoping for more. Um, I don't know. I think it just feels like that island kind of it's like those island people. They just I don't know how to explain it, but people from like Tonga, Fiji, New Zealand, they are just those people that would just you just can't phase them. They just built like brick houses, but they're the loveliest people. They will, rip a person in half and then sit down and have a drink with you and be happy as all bloody hell. So, yeah, I give that to Ardie Savea. Cheslin Colby, he's my ghost. He's that kind of guy that he would happily slip in and out of compounds. If you need to get X, Y, and Z, if you need to do supply runs and so on, he's going to be in and out. You can't catch him. Nothing you can do. Quick on his feet. Small, compact, low center of gravity, but also has the power to smash a couple of people in the head. So, yeah, Ches and Colby, Damien McKenzie, he would be like my smiling assassin. He's super quick on his feet. He's unpredictable, and you'll probably happily see him with a smile on his face doing whatever the hell he's got to do. So, yeah, he's just one of these players that people that are just unpredictable, and he's probably amazing to have with you if needed. Then we have Henry Arundel. He would be one of my sprinters. He would be able to outrun pretty much everything, and obviously, depending on what kind of zombies you have, he'd probably still outpace him. So, quick supply runs, getting in and out, getting the job done. Give Henry Arundel and Chesson Colby those jobs. Poof, 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 in and out, done. My utilities and my I call them my true survivors. James Lowe, I just feel like he would be that that forager, that chef. He'd just be able to do pretty much everything. Morale booster. He seems like a genuinely nice person to be around, but he does feel like he could just hunt. He could cook, he could joke around, and potentially even shoot a crossbow. So yeah, I'm giving that to James Lowe. Peter Steph de Toit, he'd be my workhorse. He's going to be that guy that's going to be carrying 9 bags on him. He's probably going to be, doing sprints up hills and then just, smashing in heads while he's doing it and continue to work and work. And then, just have that machine like durability, like we see him when he plays rugby. The guy does not stop. So, yeah, I'm giving that to Peter Septoit. This one is a little bit biased because I say bias, it's a bloody zombie video. Courtney Laws. I just love Courtney Laws, but especially when he played for the Saints. I just absolutely, absolutely love him. He's one of those tactical veterans, he's gritty, he's calculating. He's one of those heavy thinkers, and he's more than likely the kind of person that he would scout everything out, and then he would probably booby trap an entire field and just watch everything burn. So yeah, I love me some good old Courtney Laws. Then we move on into Cameron Wokey. I just love the way that this guy plays rugby. I really do. He just seems like that kind of person that he would just smash into everything, and then you'd probably just be left with boot prints on your face. But he's one of those that he's always alert. He's adaptable. He knows where he needs to be, and he just feels like that kind of person that he feels like he's in the right places at the right times. At points. And then Finn Russell. I have to have a Finn Russell in my team. He seems like that kind of guy in a video that would more than likely do something stupid, reckless, idiot that would just, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go and run into a compound or a hospital full of 900 of these things, but somehow manage to make it work. Um, yeah, he's unpredictable, he's funny, he's idiotic, he does a lot of stupid stuff, but it works in the end, and you probably end up getting exactly what you need. But yeah, Finn Russell, I give that to him. And then my support and brains. So this one, I was a little bit tied in between a couple of players, but bear with me, okay? Malcolm Marks. I just feel he would be that survivalist, he'd be patching people up. He'd be that healer, at the same time, he'd be tracking down bloody footprints and, building a shelter out of, his back hair. So, yeah, Malcolm Marks. I just feel like you see the way he plays rugby. He always has something. He always has something. So Malcolm Marks, Rob Valentini. I give him my security detail. He's just going to be that guy, just like guarding everything. Um, he's big, silent, deadly. He's kind of like a well placed fart at times. But he's that kind of guy that would always be the first one through the door, no matter what. No matter what, he's going to be that guy jumping in first. And then, yeah, I do like me. I do like me a little bit of Rob Valentini. Then we have Thomas Ramos. He's that. He's my engineer. If I need something working, if there's going to be something that breaks down, he just seems like he's that kind of guy that just can do shit with his hands. He can get a stereo um to start working. He's able to see the big picture as well. The kind of guy that would just sense something is happening, a couple miles down the road and understand exactly how to deal with it in a couple seconds. Um, thinking. But yeah, Thomas Ramos. I think he would be a brilliant survivor in a zombie apocalypse. Nick Tompkins. I'm giving him my mouth. The guy, he's that kind of guy who just create relations with everybody, not stop talking, probably make a lot of bad decisions. And yeah, he'd probably be the guy to bring a whole bunch of people together, but ultimately also speak far too much and unnecessarily. So yeah, I'm giving that to Nick Tompkins. Ty Furlong, I'm giving him my mechanic. I don't know. He just gives me that vibe of a mechanic. Maybe I'm being stereotypical, or I don't know what the word is for that. To me, he's always just seemed like that guy who's just handy with shit, and then still able to, if he needs to change a tire, he just lifts the car up with his left hand and changes the tire with his right. He just seems like that kind of person. And then Rory Dodge, I'm giving him my scout. That scout dog that he's sharp. He's got a very very sharp instinct. His reaction time is on point, and he's just brilliant. Very quick thinker, quick on his feet, and thinks very, very well under pressure. So if you ever need to get an idea on what's happening and then things go south, there's a good chance he's going to be able to get out relatively quickly. He's going to, have a good decision making under intense pressure. So that is my squad, you can say, for survival. Like I say, I went into some serious detail on certain players. I didn't want to overly bore you guys with everything, but also this is a nice little break to all the intense rugby that's been going on. We are at the back end of the season, and this is just something that came to me while I was watching The Walking Dead. So, uh, would you be able to survive a zombie apocalypse? And who would you want next to you? I want to hear what you guys have to say. What is your 15 or 23 that you would want to have with you to make your compound to help you survive through a zombie apocalypse? Right. So let me know what you guys think. And before I get horrible comments, and anybody that's actually managed to make it through to this, 15-minute video, um, everything that I said here is just on here, right? It's looking at people, looking at how they play rugby, looking at any interviews and things like that that I've ever seen, and kind of just made this fantasy, right? So don't get butthurt because of this or that, or this is improbable and blah, blah, blah. It's just a bit of fun. Let me know who you'd want to have in your squad or your survival pack. And catch you guys in the next one. Bye.